On today's episode of
Insert name here,
we have Naomi Jemison, who is both a friend, the reason Bree and I got together.
Oh, big accolades here.
And a very talented artist and photographer.
Yay! Let the record show Eliana has never admitted to me being the reason. It's on record. That I'm
on
the
camera.
reason.
Being published.
This is already
everywhere.
a success in my book.
Pack it up. Turn it off. We can leave. Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you feeling
Thanks for
this
having
morning?
me. I'm nervous. I've never been on an interview before. I was like,
Okay. It's just us. No big deal.
I'll try my best.
All right. First question. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I'm Naomi. I'm a wedding and portrait photographer here in Central Florida. I kind of travel all over these days, though. I like to say I go where the love goes. I'm a wife to an amazing husband. I'm a dog mom to 2 hellish pugs. A snake mom to a ball python who is just perfect. He's my firstborn. He can do no wrong. Yeah, that's me.
That's a good introduction. I'll never forget the first time I came over and held your snakes. And I was just like...
I had a lot at that time, too, right?
I think you had at least 2 or 3.
That's wild. Now it's just me and Bruce. Me and Bruce against the world.
Bruce is very pretty. I feel like we should insert a photo
Insert
here.
photo. I also just got him a new tank, so he has like a mansion now. So
Oh.
he's
Can you
spoiled.
send us a photo?
Yes,
Okay.
we'll insert it.
Okay, that sounds good.
So, what do you do with your time? And that can be work, but also like, how does your time reflect who you are?
Okay. Well, definitely a lot of it is work.
Mhm.
I know that we'll talk about that more soon too, but I would say a lot of my time I spend editing, answering emails, all the fun things that come with photography. Outside of that, I like to call myself jack of all trades, master of one. I got photography, that's it. Being an ADHD girly, I have 1,000 hobbies, and that pretty much takes up all the rest of my time between... I've always loved like dancing. As y'all know, I'm into embroidery right now. I love hiking. I have like a new hobby every single week. And I would say like half of them stick. Like I remember I tried gardening. I think I was trying to solicit your help with that. That did not go well at all. That was the worst one. But yeah, between work, I did the thing I wasn't supposed to do. Between working, spending time with my like friends and family, and then my 10 trillion hobbies, that's pretty much the entirety of my time.
Why are you just nodding?
I don't know, I feel pressure.
You're good.
Why do you feel
What do
pressure?
I say?
Do you have anything to say in response? It doesn't have to just be question, answer. Like,
I think the project/hobby graveyard is very relatable. I don't know how many of us, but I certainly find it very difficult to be focused on one thing or one pursuit. But I think that's okay.
Are you still doing embroidery?
Yes and no.
what do you mean yes and no?
I got very bored very quickly of regular embroidery, but adding beads I find to be enjoyable sometimes. And sometimes I feel like I give up for a week.
I just did one with beads, and I didn't understand how to get, like, they're so small. How do you get the needle through the bead? Or do I just need bigger beads?
No.
You need a smaller needle.
Yeah, a smaller needle.
That's the worst part. Threading the needle is already impossible. I can't imagine it being smaller than it already is.
And then how many strands are you using?
I think for the one I did, the beads only had 1 strand.
I would recommend 2.
Okay. Just to make them extra secure.
Mhm.
Okay.
I read half a book on it. Half a tiny book.
Hyperfixations, man. That's how it goes.
On embroidery?
Yeah.
Oh.
Hoopla.
This is now a podcast about embroidery.
As it should be. Okay, Naomi. What's your business, profession, or career?
Okay. Well, my business is called Naomi Jemison Photography. Very creatively named. I really blew my creative load on that one. Am I allowed to say that on your podcast? Cut that out. Just kidding. Yeah, there's pros and cons to naming your business. Hello? There are pros and cons to naming your business after yourself. One thing I didn't anticipate was that my name would not be Naomi Jemison forever. So we're sticking with it. Naomi Jemison Photography. Like I said before, I call myself a wedding and portrait photographer. I feel like that umbrella kind of captures everything that I do. I'm kind of photographing everything from like weddings to engagement, maternity, families, boudoir is a big part of what I do. Pretty much anything that involves emotion, I'm totally game for.
We love it.
Sometimes you do, or so I've noticed over the years that you'll have a sort of random creative project that just made you happy, right? So, I don't know. I rarely hear you mention that. I think you should, because, I don't know, you never know who will have some random strange idea outside of a portrait.
Yeah, you're totally right. And that's like the thing that fuels me. That's why I try to do it every so often, because if I don't, I would just get totally burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
Creating is, the fact that I get to do that for a living is such a blessing, but doing it all the time for other people, making other people's ideas come to life and not having an outlet to fully express like what I want to create, I can only do that for so long before my brain's like, I need to make something. So yeah, about once in a year, I try to do just something silly, crazy, just for myself. Like this year, I did a photo shoot and with flowers and roller skates, and I don't know. I just at least once a year, I save a bunch of inspiration like all throughout the year. Just anything I see that makes me, that feels kind of in line with some idea, if that makes sense. And then at the end of the year, I look at everything I saved and try to put it together into something. Yeah, that is a lot of fun.
Did you do something recently? I think I saw on the social media.
On the interwebs.
That you did like a underwater shoot again recently, which is always something really cool that I thought you did, because not a lot of people do it.
Yeah, so I actually was in front of the camera for that.
Oh!
Yeah, my friend Philomena, she has an underwater housing. It's much nicer than mine. Bree used to underwater model for me back in college, and I do still want to do more of that. That's like something else I do that's just totally for fun. Like, I think because my setup is so amateur for my underwater photography, I probably would never feel comfortable charging people, but it's so much fun. But Philly has the full setup. She takes her I think she has a Nikon full frame. I don't know Nikon, Canon only.
You're gonna start rage comments.
We do not get sponsored by anybody. So until that happens, that is not an official statement or opinion of this podcast.
If Canon would like to sponsor us, we would love that.
Until then, it's redacted. But yeah, she was doing mini sessions. She charged $45 for them. So I was like, take my money. That sounds like fun. And it actually ended up, I don't know if this is going too off topic, but I did that with her that day. And I was, trying to help her out, do behind the scenes and stuff for her, just being a business friend, whatever. And at the end of the day, all the girlies that came. Oh my God.
It's okay.
At the end of the day, all of the girlies that came for mini sessions, Philly didn't do it where one person would come at a time. They're 20 minutes and then you come, 20 minutes, you leave, whatever. She had everyone come for the whole time. So we were all hanging out, making friends. And at the end of it, we all stayed and hung out a little bit longer. And we were all like, oh man, this is so fun. We should all get a drink together sometime. We were all just connecting and getting along so well. And they're like, it'd be so fun if we were camping right now. We're at Alexander Springs and they have a whole campsite. And Philly and I just looked at each other and we're like, that's a really good idea. So after that, we're trying to maybe try to plan some sort of camping underwater photo shoot maybe she would do underwater and I would do like boudoir or something like that, like a retreat or something.
Ooh.
We're kind of dreaming up right now. So I was kind of involved in that way, but I mostly was in front of the camera. So I'm really nervous to see how that comes out because I'm not usually in front of the camera, especially not when I'm not the one taking the pictures. Like I, did the roller skate thing, and my husband helped me with that this year at least. But in previous years, I usually just, use a timer or whatever and take the pictures myself. So doing the underwater thing was like really weird with someone else taking the pictures and directing me and stuff.
That is awesome, though. I feel like that sounds so cool, and I'm glad that it like seemed to evolve and continue into something else. That's cool.
Hopefully we'll see how it goes. Right now we're still just like dreaming up the idea, but I feel like it has potential.
Yeah.
Is this what you always pictured yourself doing, or had you planned on pursuing another career?
Well, like most origin stories, I originally wanted to be a doctor.
Really?
Yeah. I ever since I was little, and people were like, oh, what do you want to do when you grow up? I'd say, I don't know, I just want to help people. Like that was always my thing. I just wanted to help people. I wanted to like be of service or whatever. I think I had a little bit of like martyrdom going on, but I do still feel that way. Like I'm definitely very much so a people person, and growing up in the society we're in, if you want to help people, you become a doctor. And so I did dual enrollment in high school, started that at, I think, 9th grade. I don't know how old you are then. I guess I must have been 16 because I had to drive myself to school. And around that time too, most people have all through high school to figure out what they want to do when they grow up. And then maybe even time after, like some people take a gap year or whatever. Like for me doing dual enrollment, my guidance counselors were asking me every day, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? You can't just be going to college willy-nilly. Like we're paying for you to go to college. So you need to decide what you're going for. So you're taking the right prerequisites and stuff. And I was like, I don't know. I am a baby. And so I was like, I don't know, I think I want to do something in the medical field, not sure what. So I at least got going in that direction. I took like an anatomy and physiology class and wanted to scoop my eyeballs out for every minute of it. It was very hard. Like, once again, being an ADHD girly, I never studied all through my entire school career. Like, I just took really easy classes. That way I could get away with it because I didn't even really know how to study. And then I took this anatomy class and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to study or else I'm going to fail. And I barely passed the class. I think I got like a 71. Hated every second of it. I was like, did you also?
No. But a 71, you did it.
It's passing, technically. It's, but most of the year, like my grades were like in the D area and I brought it up at the last second, but it was absolute hell. I was like, I'm not doing this. Definitely not for me. Like I also am not one to really be into like anything that has a smell, which I feel like people have too many smells. Do you know what I mean? It just was never for me.
People are disgusting.
Thank you. Like I love people. Like I said, I want to help people. I still love people, but I just don't want to like smell their smells. So anyway, yeah, it just wasn't the right career path for me at all. But that's what I originally thought I was going to do, was be a doctor. And I don't know if you asked this part already or if it's coming up, like, well, how did you get into photography then? Just keep yapping. So perfect timing, like right around the time I took that anatomy class and was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? This is what I thought I would do with my life. If I'm not going to do this, how will I help people? How will I, whatever. And around that time, my cousin got pregnant. So I'm like maybe 17 now. It's the first baby in our family. I was like very excited about it. And she came to me and was like, hey, like I see you taking really nice pictures when you go on vacation and stuff. Like, do you have a camera? It's like, I do. I don't really know how to use it that well. I'm surprised that you think my vacation pictures are any good. And she's like, well, it doesn't need to be anything fancy, but I like really can't afford a maternity photographer. And I would love to just have photos to like document this time. Nothing crazy. Doesn't have to be perfect. Like just want to like document the moment. I was like, yeah, absolutely. No problem. And as a gift to her, I was like, I'm going to learn how to use this freaking camera. Like I'm going to knock her socks off. And, she's just going to like, since her expectations were so low, that made me want to like try even harder to like make something really special for her. And so I spent months like researching, learning how to use the camera, practicing, learning how to do like different posing and stuff like that. So one morning we went out at sunrise to New Smyrna Beach, did her photos, and I was immediately hooked. I'm like, this is awesome. This is so much fun. I think I went home that night and made a photography Facebook account for my business. And, I never imagined that it would be my job someday, but I was just like, I think at the time it was going to be another ADHD hyperfixation. Like, oh, this is my new hobby. I'm going to take pictures. And from there, I just was taking pictures of like anything I could get my hands on, especially people, like any of my friends, or I would take my camera with me to like the football games and take pictures of the cheerleaders and stuff like that. And eventually somebody noticed my work and was like, what do you charge for a grad session? And then did that for like $25, I think, actually right here in downtown DeLand. And, one thing led to another. Someone saw that session. Then somebody wanted, I think, was like an engagement shoot. And just slowly but surely people started booking me for photo shoots. And now here we are.
I love it.
The fact that your fixation lasted months, I feel like was a sign.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, because there were so many times I like quit or thought about quitting or thought about changing directions. But because so early on people were coming to me wanting like photographs, and I am not, at least back then, was not very good at saying no. It kind of forced me to keep doing it. Like, when people are coming to me with that need and want to give me their money, it was hard to say no. So I don't know if it was if I hadn't been doing it in that business way so early on, I don't know if it would have stuck, to be honest. I mean, I really do love it, but I don't know. I feel like I kind of feel like I just got lucky.
When bad boundaries work out.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. No boundaries. Don't recommend them.
Yes, we do.
Eliana said, don't say that on our podcast. Say that on your own. Our next question was, how did you get into it, and did you go to school, or did you just fall into it? So it sounded like you did just fall into it.
Kind of a little bit of both.
But we met going to school together for it. So can you tell us a little bit about what that was like?
Yes, I was curious to know if you were going to be the one to ask that question and be like, well, actually, Breenax, I did go to photography school. That's where I met her. So yeah, when my mom forced me to do dual enrollment in high school, get my AA. By force, I mean, she said, if you want a car, you're going to college. So I'm
That's
like,
a little intense in high school.
and get this. Okay, Mom, if you're listening, I'm so sorry. This is how it went. She said, you want a car? Got to do dual enrollment. I was like, that blows, but okay, I will do it. She's like, but you also have to pay for your own gas. You're going to have to get a job too. So I was working part-time, going to college, I think full-time, going to high school part-time. And then at that point, there was no time to even do anything fun with my new car. But
go to college.
Yeah.
That's why she wanted you to do it.
Probably, yeah. No regrets. Like, as annoying as it was at the time, it did put me in the right direction. I'm grateful she forced me to do that. But then she really wanted me to have a 4-year degree. So I got my AA in high school, and she's like, hate to break it to you, part of this deal is you have to get a bachelor's. You have
added
to.
stipulations after the fact.
I'd be pissed. You can't change the rules later.
Well, she was like, do you want to keep the car? And also she had been paying for the insurance. I think too, she was like, either like, you pay for your car payment, you pay for everything, and you can go get some job waiting tables or whatever, or you go to college. And I was like, fine, which I already was working at the time. So this is just such a scam. Mom, this is a scam. But I was like, okay, fine. And so I found a loophole that I was like, all right, cool, I'll go to photography school. She's like, that is not what I meant. She's not happy, but she was like, I'm like, listen, I don't want to go to school at all. I found one thing I'm excited about. I'm already doing it. Like, at this point, I was already doing the business. Like, I know I can do it. So that was the compromise. I went to art school. She was not happy about it. That's where I met you. So at that time, I already was like taking clients. My business was already kind of happening. But I did also go to school because my mom forced me to.
Thanks, Mom. She brought us together.
She did. No regrets, honestly. And it was I think I'm probably getting into one of your next questions too. Or actually, no, I don't think this was a question, but a lot of people ask me this, like, do you regret it? Was it worth it? I don't know. It definitely got in the way of my business. Like, I was already booking clients at the time. I was already doing the thing. And now I have this huge time suck of having to go to school. And a lot of the stuff we were learning, I do not. I mean, it's really cool that I know how to do that now. Like, I know how to take a picture of a glass jar and not get any reflections on it. I will never use that knowledge, but it's cool that I know. I spent a lot of time, like, learning how to do things that I didn't need, and I already knew I wanted to photograph people. So, like, I don't know. I met a lot of cool people there. I did learn some stuff. I don't know in the end if it really helped so much with my business, like talking about did you fall into it or did you go to school? Like, I don't think that school made a huge difference in the business for me personally.
Yeah.
Other than connections?
Connections, and like, I will say, as much as Gary Monroe drove me nuts, like our very first ever like photography 101 kind of class, Gary Monroe, he's a very talented photographer, but also a pain in my ass. And we used to have to make, 10 unique photographs every week and print them. They had to be edited to perfection, printed to perfection. It can't just be you go out for one shoot and do 10. Like, you pretty much have to do 10 photo shoots per week. There's only 7 days in a week. Like, how did we do that? It was so hard.
There was a lot going on.
But I think doing that much, like, you know, I remember, I'm actually going to quote Bree Nax right now. I think about this a lot. Get ready for this. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this on the podcast, actually, but she was like, you have to eat, sleep, breathe, have sex with photography. Like, that's how I say that as it. But it was true. Like, that mentality of, like, all you're going to do for the next 2 years is photography. You're not going to think about anything else. You're not going to do anything else.
Oh, my gosh.
You're red.
Yeah, I feel that was really dramatic. I was very dramatic in college. I was talking to Trey about this. He was over the other day, and I was just like, who was I in college? Don't know her. I mean, still the same, but also, like, what was going on? Because that does not feel like the same person necessarily.
But I feel like there was truth to it, you know? Like, we were
For sure.
We were spending every free moment we had, like, taking pictures, and I think that practice and that, like, it gave me an eye to, like, even still to this day when I'm driving, everything I see, I'm like, oh, that could be a photo shoot location, or, like, that's a cool composition. Like,
same.
I will say that's the one thing I got out of college that, like, I think a lot of people, it's one of those things you're either, like, born with it or you have to learn it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how I would have learned that without college, you know? Like, I'm not one of those lucky people that was just born with it.
I think it makes you disciplined in a way. It's just different.
Yeah. So, I can't say I regret it, but I don't know that it helped my business per se.
That makes sense.
What do you find the most rewarding about your chosen career?
Definitely the flexibility of it all. Like, I think the main thing that I used to dream about was never having to ask for PTO. To be able to just, like, you
That's
know,
real.
It's awesome. You know, if I'm having a bad day, I can just go take a nap if I want to. Like, if I want to go on vacation, I just go. Like, I feel like I live closer to, like, how human nature is supposed to be. Just more fluid and, you know, I don't know. It felt so counterintuitive to human nature, working a 9-to-5 and having to, like, be so rigid and have to ask permission just to do, like, the things in life that you're meant to do. I think that part of it, just having the flexibility to do what I want to an extent, is definitely the best part.
So you mentioned having ADHD earlier. How do you manage that with all of that flexibility?
It can be a challenge. I think because I enjoy it, it makes it a little bit easier. Like, with ADHD, you're kind of drawn to keep doing the things that are, you know, fun for you, and the things that aren't so fun, like doing my taxes, I usually kind of put off more than I should, or, you know, there's a lot of things in the business that I put off probably a little bit more than I should, but luckily the things that are most important I do actually enjoy doing, so that kind of keeps me going in the right direction. I do hate to say it, but I think that because I was juggling so much for the first part of my like adult-ish life in high school, having to juggle a job with college and high school, and then as soon as I graduated high school, I was going to school part-time, working full-time, and trying to build this business on the side. It kind of got me in this like grind habit, I guess, which it's actually been more of a struggle trying to undo that. Like now that I'm kind of in the place that I worked so hard to get to let myself like enjoy it a little bit more and relax has been a little bit more of the challenge for me, luckily. I hate to give mom credit for that, but that probably is a big part of it, is having that structure so early on.
What's the worst thing about what you do?
Oof, this is something I've been struggling with a lot lately. You know, for the most part, this job is a dream. Couldn't complain about anything, but it is a lot more time alone than I expected, which any artist listening to this is probably like, what are you talking about? That is the best part. But I am, what do they call it? White whale. I'm an extrovert and an artist. So I didn't expect sitting alone in a dark office for most of my days editing. I didn't realize what toll that would take on my mental health eventually, you know? It took me a long time to even realize how much that was affecting me. Like probably like a year or two ago, I started to realize like I'm weird around people now. Like I used to love people. I've never like felt nervous around people at all, but like I've been weird. I'm like, what happened to me? When did I get so weird? And so now that I've kind of identified that, I have been slowly trying to work on that, like delegating more of my editing and making time to spend time with friends when I can. But it still is tough. Like I really miss that, you know, of all the, like I said, 9 to 5 is, in my humble opinion, not conducive for human nature, but that is one thing, like showing up every day to a place where you see the same people, you're making these connections that grow every day. I think that community part of it is so important, which I definitely have been missing. So yeah, that's definitely probably the hardest part.
That makes a lot of sense. Is there other ways, like in like other photographers, like co-working spaces you could go and edit, or like things like that you found? Or
I try, but I think that kind of comes back to the ADHD thing. Like Nicole, for example, is our mutual friend. We were just talking about her before this podcast. All good things, Nicole, if you're listening. She's my favorite person. She's like always like, I want to come over and do work. And I really do try, but I have a hard time concentrating, like, especially when I am so like deprived from human connection. Like when I do get around people, the last thing I want to do is work. I just want to yap. Maybe if I was doing it more often, I could get better at it. But I also really love editing on my big giant computer screen, you know what I mean? So when I try to edit on my little like laptop, it's just not the same.
Yes, but I think we did get interrupted. Did you have anything else to say about the worst parts? You were talking about tax season and the worst part of that, and like being separated from people.
I think I was just about to say that like I said before, I hate tax season. I put it off as much as possible. And I told myself this year, like, that's something I don't need my big, giant computer screen for. Like, I'm going to go to a coffee shop or sit with a friend and do my taxes. And it still didn't happen. It's just so, like, my office is such a, like, I don't know. It's, like, routine. It's habit. I go in there and I get work done. I have a really hard time doing it anywhere else. But I think the biggest solution, and I'm still working on this, but it's so far so good, is like work less, you know? Like I've been grinding for so long. This is my 9th year in business. For so long it was a grind, doing school and work at the same time and whatever. And I'm finally to the point now where like my business is steady. I don't need to be working a 9 to 5 every single day. If that's what I wanted to do, I could have just stayed working somewhere else. You know, if I want to take a half day and go grab a coffee with my friends, I'll do that. And if I need to delegate some of my editing to make that happening. Delegate some of my editing to make that happen. Like, that's kind of the direction I've been moving, is like, eventually I need to like reap the benefit. Eventually I need to reap the benefits of everything I've worked for, you know, and like enjoy more time off. It's much easier said than done sometimes, though.
Totally.
Is your experience as a photographer what you imagined it would be when you first entered?
I think honestly, for the most part, yes, which seems like a silly thing to say, but like I kind of built this from scratch, so it would be kind of interesting for it to not be what I imagined, since I am the one who like drew up the idea. What I was just saying is probably the only part that kind of caught me off guard. I mean, I knew that's what it would be. I just didn't expect it to like be so hard on me. Like, I guess I always thought I was extroverted, and it wasn't until I was deprived of the human connection that I was like, I definitely am an extrovert, because I think most people would, especially most artists, would be thrilled at the idea of just locking themselves in a room and doing art all day.
Yeah. Can you see yourself ever growing your business to like hiring other photographers, hiring an editor, like really building like a little firm or something?
I've definitely played with the idea of it. Like, I think because I've been in such like go mode for so long, now that I am in this place where it's a little bit more like comfortable, my brain's like, well, what are we going to do next? We have to keep growing. We have to keep doing. And I do still want to always be striving for the next thing, because if I've peaked at, how old am I again? 26? Am I 26? How old are you?
26.
Yeah, I think I'm 26. If I've peaked at 26, like, that's going to suck. So I definitely do want to, like, find a way to expand. But, like, right now, I delegate a lot of my editing. I don't necessarily have, like, an on-team editor, but I, like, outsource a lot of my editing. A couple years ago, I hired a virtual assistant that was, like, on my team. That was cool. I kind of regret not continuing that, to be honest. I hire other photographers to fill in for me when I can't be there. Like, if I get a wedding inquiry for a date that I'm already booked, I have a team that I, will see, oh, are you available? And I'll say, oh, this person can do your wedding, whatever. So I'm kind of, like, dabbling in that right now. But if I'm being honest, I don't know if that's the direction I see myself going as far as growth. Like, I think this little bit of, like, kind of contracting things as needed helps me, at least cover an equal amount of ground, because you would be surprised how many people inquire for the exact same freaking wedding dates. But I don't know. I don't know exactly what I see as far as growth. Like, I really like being a one-man show, to be honest. I'm not a good boss. I'm not really like a good leader. I still need to read that book y'all gifted me for my birthday called Dare to Lead. Maybe that book will fix me, but I don't see myself as a very good leader, so I don't know that, expanding this way with people underneath me will be fulfilling for me. I'm not sure.
I think there's like something to be said for the experience when you're like one person too. Like, I think there are a lot of, it's going to be so different when we interview other people and I know nothing about their industry, but like when you hire someone and they have an associate, like, you're not getting necessarily that experience of like them and like their personality. Like, I think so much of your brand is you coming and like your silly goofy self showing up in all of yourself, and
that it has already been a struggle. Like, I do like associate work sometimes, and those people are usually like super drawn to my editing style, but I would say 80% of people are not hiring me for my editing. It's more for like my personality, making you feel comfortable in front of the camera, all that kind of fun stuff. So it is a hard sell, honestly. Sometimes people take it, sometimes people don't. I think I would need to, if I wanted to do that, I'd have to really restructure my business to be less about me, which I'm not fully against, but like my intuition right now is just saying that that's not the right, like, trying, once again, coming back to like what feels natural. I don't know that. I think part of me, not to go into internal family systems, if you know, you know.
Get ready for therapy session.
I think part of me is like, oh, that's not natural to me. That's just not who I am, whatever. And then part of me is like afraid to get into that leadership role. Like, maybe if I did try to like get better at it, maybe I could, and that would solve so many problems. I'd have more people around and whatever. So I don't know which one's more true, but right now my intuition's saying nah.
Well, I think that's fair. And like you said, you're 26. there's a lot of time to figure out who you want to be and where you want to go and what you want life to look like. And maybe one day you will say, I don't want to work, but 3 months a year, I would like these other people to work under me. Who knows what life looks like?
Yeah.
True.
Especially weddings being so hard. Like, it's so much on your body. So especially, you are 26 now, but at 36, if this is still what you're doing, you know, like, are you going to want to go shoot an 8-hour day or a 12-hour day, you know? So I think right now it might make sense, but 10 years from now it might not.
Totally true. This is something that keeps me up at night.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So we're talking about it.
Yeah, this is officially therapy.
Oh my gosh. Continuing our therapy session. If someone wanted to do what you're doing right now, what would you tell them?
Okay. So this is kind of interesting too, based on what we were just saying, kind of like skipping back for a second. One thing I did dabble in a little bit in the sense of like, how can I expand, was trying to get into education. Because I'm not necessarily, like I said, I don't see myself as much of a leader, but I really do love helping people. So I thought, I'll teach people how to do photography and build a business or whatever. And I had a few different like mentorship situations going on. And I don't know, I didn't necessarily not like it, but I still didn't feel super like fueled and inspired by it. But I've been thinking about it a lot lately because I went into that experience with like, oh, I know everything I need to know now and I can just tell it to them and they don't have to wait. You know, like I said, I've been in it for 9 years. Like, if I can save someone some time and like just, you know, learn from my mistakes kind of thing, like they can just skip right ahead and get to where I'm at overnight, you know, not necessarily overnight, but, you know, I thought if I at that time had direction of like, where am I supposed to go from here? What's the next step? Like that would have been really helpful for me. Right. So I thought that I could teach people that way. And I think it did help a lot of people. Like one of the people I was helping, she's like doing photography now, like has her own business. She seems like she's like booked and busy. So like, you know, it worked at least, but I've been thinking about it a lot lately, like especially coming up on 10 years. I think a lot of it is just that I kept doing it like as much as I could, you know, all the mistakes I tried to save them or whatever. Like the biggest piece of advice is like to just keep showing up. Keep, you know, if you wanted to be a photographer, keep taking pictures, whether you're paid for them or not, keep posting them, keep showing the world your art. Eventually it will resonate with somebody and somebody will want to book you, and then the next person and the next person, and it just kind of snowballs that way. You know, maybe there are some things that I would have done differently to get where I am now a little bit quicker, but I think that I wouldn't really change a thing, you know, and the biggest thing is just keeping at it. I have been recently trying to think about like redoing my website, and I was considering going with a completely different, I promise this will come back on topic. I was thinking about doing a completely different host because I'm on WordPress right now, and WordPress is the bane of my existence. I was actually reaching out to Cece and Seth. They do websites, but not WordPress. And so I was reaching out to see what it would cost for them to redo it and whatever, and I was considering it. And then I went back and talked to the person that originally did my website like 10 years ago. And she told me, like, you know, part of why you're doing so well, like the fact that you look up Naomi Jemison and I come right up, like the, you know, that it's because you started so young and you got your website right away. Like I think I created my website almost immediately when we started college, and that the length of time that a website is up, I guess, helps with credibility or whatever. I don't know. I'm just starting to learn about like SEO stuff. I've put it off for so long. But yeah, I think that as much as I, you know, tried to mentor and teach all this stuff, like the most important thing is just showing up. Even when you don't feel like it, you need to eat, sleep, breathe, photography.
Oh
but it's
gotta
true.
Make a sticker that's sell them on your website.
Quote, Breenags. It's true though. Like just showing up, and you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. I literally quit so many times. Like there are times where I literally was turning people away. How I said earlier that I like, the fact that people were coming to me kind of forced me to keep with it. There was a time where I was just like, I'm burnt out. Like for the foreseeable future, I'm not doing photography. Right at the very end, like my last job before going full time, I was actually considering quitting photography to go to school for. I was doing emergency management, and I really liked it. I was considering doing that like up until the last second, and then I was like, you know what? I need to at least just try this. I've been working at it for so long. But like, it doesn't have to be perfect. You know, you don't have to post every single day, but like, I think the more you put in, the more you get out. And that's been the one like guiding thing for me that's kept me going in the right direction.
I love it. I think that's great advice for anything that you're doing, like being consistent with it, continuing to go with it no matter what. Even if you do take breaks, even if it's not perfect, I think that's something I really struggle with, is being a perfectionist and wanting everything to be exactly right the first time and getting everything perfectly. But I think if you can just stay consistent with it, that's where you'll see the growth and like see things coming back to you.
And that was always the mindset I had. Like, I don't know if it's a product slightly of being a child of semi-neglect. Like, I didn't have some parent telling me that I could or couldn't do something, or that there's a certain way that things should be. Like I said, my mom gave me a little bit of flack about going to photography school, but for the most part, she's like, I trust you, you got it. Like, so I've never really had that voice in my head saying that it has to be perfect or you have to do it this way. Like, fully, this is probably, now I'm saying it out loud, it's a little bit neurospicy. I think, like, thinking of it from a common sense standpoint, unless you get canceled or something, like, you're not going to fall backwards, you know? It's like, as long as if you post something online, someone will see it and like it possibly and then want to follow you, you know? Like, you're not going to lose anything by putting yourself out there. Like, you can only go in one direction. Like, coming back, I don't know if this was a part of the podcast or not, if this was before we started, but towards the beginning we were talking about back in the YouTube days. And I remember I also used to have a YouTube channel. I used to post little vloggies. And I think I have like 800 subscribers on there or something. And I just posted a vlog whenever I felt like it. And when you post, you know, a few people might subscribe when you do that. And I think back to like, what was it? I think it was one of those makeup boys on YouTube. I don't remember their names. Said something, got canceled, and I remember just watching their YouTube account like just down and down and down. Like, thousands of followers were unsubscribing at a time. And I remember thinking, like, I did not think that this was possible. Like, in my head, if you keep, you know, what you put in, you get out. Like, it was like mind-blowing to me. Whereas I think a lot of people are afraid if they put themselves out there that will happen. I guess this is just a reminder that, like, unless you really fuck up, you're not gonna fall back that far, you know what I mean? If you move forward with like the right values and intentions and whatever, like, you can really only go up. Maybe you can go up quicker if you do things certain ways or whatever, but like, I feel like there's no way to really go wrong, if that makes sense.
I think that does make sense.
What is the wildest idea for your future you could see?
I think that for me, traveling as a part of my job was something I always like thought, you know, would be something way in the future. And I'm lucky enough to be doing a little bit of that now. I think that doing even more of that, you know, like, I imagine someday maybe if I'm doing 20 weddings in a year, that like at least half of them are in different places all over the world. I think that's the main thing, you know, especially since I've gotten a little taste of it and I do enjoy traveling for work. That's probably the biggest thing that I'm like really dreaming up at the moment, is just trying to do more of that. I've been really trying to put forward motion into like branching out that way and like getting the opportunity to photograph in different places. Yeah, that's got to be the wildest one.
What's your dream location?
That is so tough. Honestly, until recently, it probably would have been like the Rocky Mountains, which I did this past year. I'm trying not to be lame and say like I did it on the Montana side, like Rocky. No, not Rocky. Is that Rocky Mountains, like Glacier National Park?
I don't know.
I think it
my
is.
My geography is bad.
I think that is the Rocky Mountains.
From Florida.
Forgive me if not.
Flat.
That's so funny. Like, I did a wedding in Glacier National Park, and then, yeah, it was a lot of fun. And since I was already there, I'm like, it's a 5-hour road trip up to Canada to go to Banff. So I did that just with my friends, like just to hang out or whatever. I think doing a wedding on that side, like, you know, it's the same mountain range, so how lame for me to pick that spot. But they're just the tallest mountains I've ever seen. Like, when I saw them, I thought, like, that's what I always imagined Mount Everest looking like. I was like, if this is just Banff, like, what is Everest like? You know, it was just so beautiful. I think something like that, or maybe a different national park, like national park elopements are the best. You know what? Okay, new answer. I've just decided. I would love to do a wedding in every national park.
Oh, wow.
Dream big.
In the United States, in the contiguous United States.
Eliana, you just soiled my plan, because I just realized I was saying Banff, which is not even the United States. I do want to do one in every park in the United States, and then I also want to do Banff.
Okay.
Just tacked on at the end.
Is there anything that we haven't asked that you'd like to discuss?
I don't think so. You guys asked really good questions. I feel like I probably should have prepared some questions for you guys.
This is our job.
This is for you.
Guest.
I know, but it's a conversation.
Okay, our last question, something Eliana and I talk about frequently, is our final form, which is like when we are old, when we are retired, when we have money as no object, what is our final form? What do we want to be doing in that last part of life? What is your final form?
I think, like you mentioned earlier, photography is probably not, my body will probably not allow me to do it for as long as I would like to. I imagine kind of staying with weddings for a very long time, because I just love it so much. I can't see myself doing anything else, to be honest. Like, I've thought, you know, like you said, I'm kind of young, fortunately and unfortunately, because by 36, where someone else might just be starting out photography and able to kill it, I might be old and decrepit at that time. So I've thought about getting into like wedding planning or something where I don't have to like lug around so much stuff. But I kind of see like final form owning a wedding venue, maybe not doing a lot of the work with it, like maybe hiring a managing company. That way I can just have a big, beautiful property and maybe live there and just kind of use that as part of my like retirement income, you know, like passively. I think that for the future, that's one thing, like thinking of ways to grow passive income is probably something that I want to prioritize. That way I have more time to do the things that do fulfill me. But yeah, final form, I think that's what I see, like living on a big, beautiful property, having a wedding venue there, and not having to do a whole lot of work.
Starting multiple crafts.
Continuing them. By that point, I'll be a world-renowned, is that right?
Yeah.
Embroiderer. I was like,
Yeah.
I can't even say world-renowned. I don't know how I'm going to say embroiderer.
You got it.
But yeah, that's kind of what my husband and I have been dreaming up.
I love it. I think that's so cool. I haven't heard you talk about that before, but I love it.
It's a secret. I'm just kidding. Can I ask what your final form is?
We've talked about like owning property, talked about owning animals, having a little farm kind of situation going, lots of big comfy dresses and lots of crafts.
Should we live on a commune together?
Is that what everybody in their 20s and 30s is saying with all their friends right now?
True.
But sure, we can help run the venue. We got lots of experience with that.
We need to buy land now. I don't have money to buy land now.
But we need to.
Yeah, because it's only going to get more expensive.
Also, in Florida, is that even going to be
Yeah, where
possible?
would you want to buy it? You know what? Let's have this let's talk. Have your people call my people.
Yeah, for sure. You had me at animals, honestly. That is one thing, too, I need to add to my final form is there will be goats and chickens there. A medium told me recently I was going to have 2 kids. I'm assuming he meant goats.
I love it.
I'm sorry, that was such a not cute laugh, but that was so funny.
I like your laugh.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well,
Yeah.
thank you for coming. Thanks for being our first
Thanks
guest.
for having me. Happy to be here. This is fun.
That was a great first time. Thanks for being patient with us with all of our things.
Thanks for being patient with me, especially when you're editing.
We'll see. It'll be fine. Okay. Thanks for watching and listening.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.